evening. Welcome to Real Estate Wisdom Wednesdays. I am your host, Harold Valliston, aka the Real Estate Motivator, aka the Coach V, and beautiful. Sorry about that. People are trying to call me. Those things happen. Welcome one, welcome all. How you call it? Instagram decided to do a update. So that added some fun stuff, but it gave me enough time to partake of my Haitian food here. If you know, you know. I had something called tasso, which is fried goat, little dia jonjon, which is the black rice that you see Haitians are very well known for. I'm enjoying that quite a bit. I'm going to take a little bite now as people join so I can take a few seconds. Don't mind me. We're going to have a little fun tonight. Sorry for eating while I'm talking to everybody. Even coaches got to eat. We'll give everybody about 1 minute, and then we'll just get started, get things rolling, have some fun, and let's go. Oh, by the way, if you haven't done this already, tell a friend to tell a friend that we're live. And we're talking about getting into the game, starting in real estate. Really, some stuff that I've gone through before, but I want to go over again because sometimes repetition is the mother of memory, right? Or, getting it into your system, and maybe the fifth or the first, the eighth, the 20th, the 90th time, I don't care. But as long as you take action, my heart is full. Right? And that's why I wore my Just Execute shirt, because that is what you need to do to be in this game. Doesn't always work out the way you want it to. Sometimes there's some issues, some problems. We'll go through that. But as long as you're moving towards that execution and you stay the course, you will win. Plain and simple. All right, so let's get started. So, one of the questions I get the most: how do I start investing in real estate? And I think that's the wrong question to start with. I think your question needs to be, why do you want to invest in real estate? And what are you trying to accomplish? What's the why and what's the what? Right? You know, the when, where, why, and all that stuff in the story. Well, in your story, you need to know the why and the what. The reason being, the why will continue to push you forward when trials and tribulations come about. And they will come about. I don't care how good of an investor you are. You will have some trials and tribulations, some small, some bigger. Everybody has a varying story, but it's going to come. So the why will help you get through it. When the bank's acting up, when your tenant's not paying, when whatever the case may be, the why will help push you. The what is important as well. For you to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish helps understand how you should start. So if you're trying to this flip, right, or you want to grow the amount of cash you have, then flipping may be the right thing for you to start with, right? So with flipping, right, let's say I'm taking, for easy numbers, $50,000 all in. That's my down payment, closing costs, start my construction, all that fun stuff, which we'll go over in a moment. And that's what I put in. And when I'm done, I get the $50,000 back plus another 25 or 30 as an example, right? So now I started with 50 and I've gotten back 85. So I've netted 35 overall. So I just, now instead of playing with 50, I'm playing with 85. And this is before you pay Uncle Sam, of course. You must pay Uncle Sam. They're the greatest debt collector of all time. But now instead of having 50, you have 85. And then somebody might say, okay, I got this 85. let me go flip 2 properties, or let me go flip a bigger property, whatever the case may be. So let's just say you do another property, 1. Let's say we do 1. You kept some of the money, put that in the reserves, and you did another 1. You took a 50 grand again, you flipped it 1 more time, same result. You got another 85, 50 back, 35. I said, yeah, 35. You won, right? So now you have put set aside. Again, this is all before you pay with Sam, so make sure you do your math right. You have 35 that you put on the side in the reserves. You got another 35 you just made, and now you still have your principal 50. You're at $120,000 at this point. This could all be done within 8 months to 12 months. It could be done within a year. It could be 18 months. It varies. But that's a way for you to build up cash for different endeavors that you're trying to do. There are some people who are in the school of thought of flip, hold. So they'll buy 3 properties in a year, or whatever the case, whatever the time frame is, but they'll flip 2 and they'll buy 1 and hold it as a rental for 2 reasons. One, now they have more cash to put down towards that purchase. Like my man Welby does this in some variations of this. And then you also have what's called depreciation to offset some of the cash that you now made, because flips, just so you know, under 1 year, if you hold the property for less than 1 year, it's considered a short-term capital gains. I am not an accountant nor attorney, so that's the disclosure for tonight. Please refer to your tax and legal professionals. But with that being said, there's a lot of write-offs you get for having a hold, right? And one of them is depreciation, the interest on the mortgage if you have one, any cost it took to take care of the property, lawn care, insurance, if you're providing any kind of utilities. All of these things are write-offs against your income that you've grossed for the year, right? So if you wanted to flip your money, flipping is the what, right? Is the how, in a sense, right? What is it you're trying to accomplish? So you're trying to grow your cash base, so you flip. Well, Harold, I want to build monthly income. I want to build cash flow. I want to build residual income, whatever term you want to use. That's buy and hold, right? I'm buying a property, whether I'm rehabbing it or not, depending on what the deal is. I'm going to rent it out to generate a certain level of revenue from this house or property. It could be a parking lot, it could be different things. And that is going to be my cash flow. So if it costs me $1,000 a month to hold this property, that's including insurance, taxes, and all that fun stuff, and mortgage, but I'm collecting $1,500, my net cash flow is $500, right? So every month I'm making $500 as long as the people pay their rent, thank God. That's $6,000 a year. Now I do this 10 times over, that's $60,000 a year. And that's a free cash flow, net cash flow. That's again, what are you trying to accomplish? I just want a return on my money better than what I would get in my IRA, self-directed IRA, my 401k. I want a steady, return, but backed by some kind of asset. Then I may invest with somebody or be the money behind a deal, and I'm getting paid this certain percentage rate, right? That's one aspect that people may do. You might invest in a REIT. A REIT is a publicly traded fund of real estate assets that's been turned into a security, right? A security being anything that can be sold or sold or bought on an exchange, a stock exchange, right? So they securitized, if I'm saying that right, the asset or the different assets they have within this pool, right? You have private equity funds that do something similar to a REIT, but it's not publicly traded, and there's a certain level of return that they're sometimes guaranteeing, and then everything above that guarantee, you guys share in the profits, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why companies like a Blackstone, BlackRock, they're raising funds from high net worth individuals who want a certain level of return on their money and also get some of the benefits of their being invested in real estate. So these are multiple ways to get involved in a game, but you need to understand why you're getting into it and what is it you're trying to accomplish. How much do you want to be involved? How passive do you want it to be? Do you want to be a debt person? Do you want to have equity? You want to do it yourself? There's so many different ways that you can get into this game and still benefit from one of the greatest asset classes ever created, called real estate or property. And particularly land, they ain't making no more of it unless you buy a volcano and they add a little bit more. Because I've had somebody tell me that. I'm like, okay, fine. That's what it is. Any questions so far? Give me a thumbs up, hands up if you are getting what I'm putting down. Well, I'll take one more bite of my food real quick. So let me know if y'all enjoying what y'all getting so far. I know this is basic, but sometimes we gotta go back to basics so people can get into it. You know, it's like the fundamentals in sports. You have to get the fundamentals down. Sometimes I'll go back to the fundamentals to get things rolling. Hearts, thumbs up, whatever the case is, I'll take any one of those. I just want to make sure I'm not just talking to myself. I see a number up there. I know there's people on here. I just want to make sure there's an interaction that's occurring. All right? Now, we're going to talk about each way and how to get started in those ways. I appreciate you, sir. So, let's start with the flipping one. That's the one most people know, because that is the most popular type of investment or real estate investment that people talk about, because that's what the shows do, right? Flipping LA, the flipping El Musas, the flipping flop and flipping, whatever. This, that, and the other, and those different things that are relevant. So let's talk about flipping. There's key numbers that are necessary for you to get involved. By the way, if you haven't shared this with somebody, tell a friend to tell a friend, you're being selfish. So I'm going to give everybody 10 seconds. Press the airplane button. Go tap down that thing. Send everybody that you're here with me learning how to get in the real estate game or the different ways you can do so. Okay? Now, anyway. Now, back to the flipping. So, key things in flipping, the numbers are very critical, and you need to do your numbers very conservatively because things can and will happen. So one of the rules I was taught, and you've probably heard this before, but this is just a repeat lesson. If you know it, just count it as a review, is the 70% rule. But one of the things I've shared with people, if you're very new to the game, unless it's a truly cosmetic flip, when I say truly cosmetic, meaning it's literally paint, some trim, maybe you could paint the cabinets, maybe change a little bit of tiles, like not a full gut type situation, I'll stick with the 70%. But if you want to be if you want to be conservative, I would go with 65, maybe even 60% rule. Okay, Howard, what the heck does that mean? Meaning, I should be acquiring and rehabbing, not just acquiring and rehabbing within 70% of what the after repair value, aka the ARV, will be. So, easy numbers. If the ARV is 100 grand, I should not buy nor rehab the property if I'm going to spend more than $70,000 to do it. Right? The reason you do this is where the number came from. On average, in good, bad, and in different markets, most banks will refi you out at least on 70% loan to value. So meaning, if you have a property and they assess it and they get an appraisal that says it's 100 grand, they are willing to give you 70% of that asset as a loan. So as an example, I buy a house. I bought it for 50 grand. I put $20,000 worth of work into it. Now I'm at this 70 grand number, right? Let's say I did this all cash as an example. We didn't use a regular, we didn't use hard money. We didn't use a whatever. This is just me coming out of my pocket. So I put up 70 grand to fix this house or to get this house, up to speed. I say, something, I want to hold it. And I go to the bank and I tell them, can you give me a loan? They say, sure, we will give you 70% of assessed, of appraised value. Go to the bank, get the loan, or hard money, doesn't matter, commercial lender. I get 70% back. So essentially, I'm getting my money back. They're giving me a loan for 70 grand. I put up 70 grand, so now I'm getting my money back at the table, right? I didn't make any money, but I didn't lose any money. And then hopefully, and if you did your numbers right, within the rental, your rental will cover the cost of your now found mortgage and being cash flow. Cash flow is king. We don't want to work for free. I don't think anybody's into philanthropy that hard that they're willing to go through the headache of buying, fixing, and going through loans and all that stuff to work for free. So try to make some money on the deal. All right. Does everybody understand it? Give me a thumbs up, hands up if you get it. Now, mind you, this is also a shameless plug for me to get another bite of my Haitian food. If you know, you know. Forgive me. It's been a long day. I had to get some food in. But if you go into the more conservative and you go 65, you understand the numbers. 65,000, 60,000, whatever. Now, if you're that conservative, you actually will get a little money back. That's if the ARV was only 100 grand. And again, we're using this for easy numbers. Well, let's say, for instance, the ARV is now 200 grand. So you put up 70 grand, 200 grand. Now you can get a loan for 140. So you're getting your 70 back plus an additional 70 grand if the numbers make sense that when you rent it, it will cover the mortgage and give you cash flow. All right? You didn't miss too much, Infinity. The beauty of flipping is that you can create a lot of cash in a fair amount of time. It all depends on what kind of flip you're doing, depends on the market, a couple of different things. So there's a place for it. I am a buy and hold guy in general, but I will do a flip when it makes sense, like the flip that we did in Newark. That the deal, I couldn't pass up that deal. That was a phenomenal deal. We got it for a great acquisition price. Even with the delays, we still made money, right? Those are the kind of deals, and that's how you want to do your underwriting, how you want to do your math, is that you want to put the most conservative numbers, the most conservative profit. So God forbid anything goes wrong, worst case, you're still going to make this money, or in even the worst case, you break even, but you don't lose money. Okay? That's important. Again, knowing your why and what is it that you're trying to accomplish. Flipping is for building up cash reserves, essentially. Now let's go back into the buy and hold, the regular buy and hold. Buy and holds for cash flow. We just talked about that. If you're holding the house, etc., you get the loan. The same numbers apply. It doesn't change. And I kind of explained the reasons why it doesn't change, because you want to make sure that you get at least the money you put in out. In some occasions, depending on your investment philosophy, you may use the investment property, as long as it's cash flowing, as a CD or annuity or something of that sense. Harold, what do you mean? So you've heard, and we'll get him back sooner than later. You heard my guy Storm. One of the things he does is he'll buy a property out of state, but he wants a tenant already in it, maybe a single family with a Section 8 family in it, with a Section 8 voucher. And he wants it where the numbers make enough sense that if he buys the property at whatever number makes sense, he's going to cash flow somewhere between $400 to $600 a month on the house. But sometimes those areas, the ARVs are not very strong. So even it'll take a long time before he may be able to get appreciation on the house, but he is getting cash flow. There are places that I've been to that the same house you could buy today for 100 grand, you could have bought the same house for 100 grand 10, 15, 20 years ago. The housing doesn't fluctuate that much, right? Because of whatever macroeconomic situations are going on in that area. So the benefit of that, again, I'm thinking of it as an annuity, right? I'm thinking of it as a long-term CD for all intents and purposes. Because if it's cash flowing, that means it's paying for itself and it's giving me a profit. So again, we'll use 100,000 for easy numbers. I buy a property for $100,000. I got to put 20% down, let's say. So I'm putting up 20 grand, right? But I'm cash flowing $500 a month. That's $6 grand a year. $6 grand divided into $20,000, the money I put out, that is a 30% return on my investment. I put up 20, I am now getting 6 every year. So I'm getting 30% on my money. So I'm thinking that's my high yield CD. And during that time, I'm paying down my mortgage if that's the type of loan I got. So remember, I put up 20 grand. I'm getting 6 grand a year. So within 3.5 years, I'll have my capital back, and everything beyond that is gravy. Everything beyond that is gravy. Now I'm making way more percentage on my money. Because I invested 20 grand. I got my 20 grand back. Now I'm playing with the house money. And I can have that for however long it takes to pay off the mortgage. And then I'll have a free and clear asset that's 100 grand. Right? Then I'll have no more mortgage after whatever amount of time that is. And now this thing is cash flowing whatever the rent was. So let's say when I bought the property, the rent was $1,500. The cost was $1,000. I'm making these numbers up, okay? This is for per. So now, no, let's even say it for that amount. Let's call it $800 a month. But I'm cash flowing $500. The beautiful thing is now and I should be able to increase the rent. Even in those areas, the rent tends to trickle up a little bit. Maybe not like a New York and jumps, all kind of crazy things like that. But, it trickles up. And with that being said, when it's paid off, I'm making now $800 a month versus $300 a month. I mean, $500 a month. So if I do that a few times over, that's my strategy. I do that. I get 10 of those properties. That's $8 grand a month. Free cash flow. That could be my retirement. Right? So the cash flow is important, but that's just a different way of looking at a deal. So I want people to understand it. This is something that one of my mentors said. I like the way he positioned it. He said, I'm moving my money from one account into another account. So I'm moving my money into the bricks. So don't think that you're spending money to invest. You're investing money into a different account that gives you a higher return. So if I have my money in the bank and it's giving me, right now because the interest rate is a little high, you might get 1%. I take that money and I take that same 20 grand and put it into the bricks. Now I'm making 30% on my money. Does everybody understand what I'm telling you? Thumbs up, hands up, let me know. Again, another opportunity. Again, forgive me for chewing, for those who came in late. Thumbs up, hands up. Everybody get in there, give me some hearts, something, just so I know I'm not talking to myself again. next point. If you are investing or partnering with people, you partner with somebody like what I do, the Real Estate Investment Club. You can become debt partners with somebody. You can become shared equity or profit sharing. There's varying things, and I'll explain what I do in a little bit. One of the things you do is say, okay, I don't want to deal with the tenant part. I don't want to even look for the property. I just want a return on my money. This is a good way to do that, particularly, again, if you have a self-directed 401k or IRA, you came into some money and you just don't want the money sitting in the bank. Okay, oh, nice. He's talking about the interest rates. So, with that being said, hey, I'm good with 10%, 8%, 10%, 12% on my money, 15%. It depends on who you're dealing with and what kind of deals and areas that they're investing in. So you now can put some money into somebody else who knows what they're doing and just reap the benefits by saying, I'm just going to invest this money in that way. And again, it's fully passive because you don't have to worry about the headaches. This is like somebody I got to deal with, who deals with sometimes with contractors and tenants. And, there's a gentleman on this line. He told me, and I love what he said. He said, Harold, this is why you do what you do and I do what I do, because I'd go to jail. I'd kill somebody for some of the things that you're telling me that you're dealing with. Because I had told him a story of, I had a guy go to the house, contractor or electrician. We tell him, hey, we need you to install something because there's going to be a deep freeze in a couple of days. And he said, okay. Come to find out, the dude never showed up. Or he never did show up. The thermostat wasn't put in. It went to the deep freeze. Pipes froze. Pipes busted. Flood in my basement. Then, check this out. But I'm going to tell you why it made it even worse. Finally he gets back and says, oh, I didn't go. I apologize. I'll go back today. So while you're there, this is just before the freeze really hit. Do me a favor. Turn off the main water valve. The main to the house. So that way there's no water running into the house. All right, I got you. You can figure out what he did. Absolutely nothing. I don't know if he didn't know which. He must have turned something off under the sink thinking that was the water main. And listen, he's an electrician, not a plumber. I get it, but come on. Even the most basic of stuff, you got to know where the main for your water valve is. Anyway, I digress. Cost me, extra money that could have been in my pocket versus having to fix the situation and the sheetrock and the pipes and stuff. It is what it is. So if you don't want to deal with all that, do a REIT, do a real estate club, do private equity if you're in that position. Jose, what up, family? Appreciate you dropping in. So you can go about that route, and then you can do, there's actually programs now that people, I forgot to mention this one, they have these companies that will buy the real estate, fix it up, and then get the tenants, and then sell you back the house, and with management and everything, and you just have to buy the house. And you'll get anywhere from 5 to 10% on your money, typically 5 to 7, because they tend to, because by the time all the costs and they've already kind of took some of the juice out. But again, if you're that conservative, you can go that route as well. So essentially what I'm trying to share with you guys, there is no excuse why you can't get into the real estate game in some form or fashion. You don't have to be the person running around trying to find the deals on the computer all day, talking to different brokers and wholesalers and going to auctions and auction sites and all that fun stuff. Or you can be. You know what's the other one I didn't talk about? Oh my God, how could I forget about that? House hacking, right? That's probably one of the easiest ways to get into the game. If you want to buy a house, buy a multifamily. Now, some people say, well, I don't have multifamilies in my area. There's not that many multifamilies in my area. Not necessarily true. they have companies, not companies, excuse me, they have locales that if you check into it, they'll allow you to do what's called an ADU, an additional dwelling unit. So you can turn your garage, you can turn your some basements, depending on if they have two ways of egress. You can add an addition, and it's legal in your area to add this additional thing. So like, what's bananas? There's something called a parent suite. So in Florida, my cousin has this thing. I was utterly amazed, by the way. They had something called a parent suite. So in their house, they had this other wing of the house. The only thing it didn't have was a stove, because you couldn't call like a two-family, so it couldn't have a stove. But it had the fridge, sink, washer, dryer, extra bed. It was a one-bedroom, basically, addition to this house that they use when family comes over, but they could Airbnb. They could rent it out. Not everybody cooks. With Uber Eats and all the stuff out there now, not everybody cooks. You can put a little hot plate over there. Somebody's need to warm some up, make sure they got a microwave. But this is the thing I'm trying to tell folks. Look for those opportunities for you to take advantage of. If you're locale, this was in Ruston, Florida, right? Just outside of Tampa. So there's always an opportunity. There's always a way if you really want to do it. If you have a why. Remember what I said, the why is important. And what you're trying to accomplish. No excuses, folks. I told you, we got house hacking. You got flipping. You have buy and hold. You have investing with partners. And you can do it yourself as like investing with partners. Somebody you know what they're doing, y'all go together on the deal. You have REITs. You have private equity. You have programs where they'll do the house for you. There's so many ways for you to benefit from real estate. Find one that works for your risk tolerance and for your style and get into it. I'll share with you what I do with my real estate club. It's no secret. I've shared it before. I tell people, you come in with an X amount of money. You get anywhere between 8 to 12%, depending on how much you invest. You have the option to be a debt partner. You have an option to be a profit share partner. You have an option to do a hybrid and be a little bit of both. And you get a certain level of guaranteed interest as the hybrid, and then you get a little piece of the profit share depending on how big the pool is of people who are in that bucket. Very simple stuff. I am here. I'm alive, thank God. We're doing pretty well. Got some hiccups here and there. For those who are on it, they know their dividends are coming soon. We haven't missed a dividend payment in 3 years, thank God. Sometimes we have some delays due to some of our deals, but it always gets there. Being as transparent as can be, because this is what this real estate game can do to you, right? So there are so many different ways to do it. No excuses. I don't want to hear it. This is how you get into the game, and there's many ways to do it, and there's probably more that I may never know. I can't tell you I know everything. I know a lot, thank God, but I don't know everything. I'm learning things from other people sometimes. Here's another thing. There's the if your area allows for Airbnb, there's rental arbitrage. If you don't want to buy the property, you can rent the property, make a deal with the owner, and say, hey, I'll even pay you more than market rent. I just want to have the ability to do what I want. I want to do short-term rentals. I'll be there here and there, whatever. And now you're making the vig between whatever your rent is and whatever you can make on Airbnb or Vrbo or one of the, what's the other one? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. It's for like travel nurses. You know what I mean? Furnished homes, whatever the case is. There's so many ways to do this. So many ways. Find one. Please find one and get into it and create the extra income that you need. Everybody, I don't know if you know this, most Americans are $400 away from a financial emergency. Please don't let it be you. Find a way to invest your money. By the way, and another statistic, which you'll see as I put some stuff together, most people do a second job because they need an extra $800 to $1,200 a month. What if you could create that $800 to $1,200 a month passively through real estate and have an asset and tax write-offs to show for it, which in turn increases your take-home pay? We even go over that. Let me know if you got something out of this tonight. Give me a thumbs up, hands up, little hearts, whatever. Let me know if you got anything out of this. I appreciate that. Thank you. Any questions from anybody? Let me know. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, everybody, with the hearts and fire emojis. Thank you. I appreciate you all for joining me. So when this goes on to the on my page, please feel free to share it with friends and family. Save it, watch it again, get the tips, get the ideas, get in the game. If you have any interest in investing with me, feel free to reach out. I'm an open book. Anybody will tell you that. I give receipts. So let me know if you want to rock. I'll share a deck. I meet everybody personally. I interview you. Gotta make sure it's the right fit for both of us, and we get to work. So if that's you, holla at me. You could DM me. You could email me on my page. Just press email. Just put invest and learn, or investment club, and we'll get it going. So I look forward to working with anybody else who may not be working with me already. I'm looking forward to hearing the success stories that you guys share with me all the time. It's why I still come here every Wednesday night, no matter what, for the most part. I'm here on live 40 to 40 something weeks out of the year. It's only 52. I think I'm doing pretty good. So appreciate everybody. God bless. Good night. Stay safe. Invest. Take action. Please, 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 please. Take some action. Salute.